Good morning or good afternoon, depending on where you're at. Thank you for bearing with us as we dealt with some technical difficulties this morning. My name is Tim Hines, and I'm the Executive Director of the University Economic Development Association, and I'd like to welcome you to our informational webinar on how to submit a UEDA Awards of Excellence application, which is really designed to provide institutions considering in submitting an application for the 2017 Awards of Excellence program, just to give you some ideas on what we're looking for as far as criteria goes. The Awards of Excellence program, as you may or may not know, recognizes leading edge initiatives in higher ed-based economic development and really encourages the adoption of those initiatives among UEDA members across North America. Now, before we begin, just a few housekeeping items. If you have a question, you'll see there's a questions box in the right-hand side of the webinar. Please feel free to use that to ask any questions that you may have, and we'll have an opportunity to answer some of those questions at the end of the presentation. And if we don't have an answer, we'll definitely get back to you with an answer shortly. If for some reason you're having any technical difficulties, you can use the chat feature that's in the right-hand column. Everyone is going to be on mute throughout today's webinar, and we are recording that webinar, and that'll be posted to our website within a few days generally. Information about the Awards of Excellence program can be found at the URL that's on your screen there, awards.universityeda.org. And just as a reminder, the deadline for nominations is June 30th, 2017, and we're not planning on extending that at this time, so please make sure that you meet that deadline. So first, before we get into the details of the Awards of Excellence program, I wanted to share with you a little bit about UEDA and what we're up to. For those not familiar, UEDA was established in 1976 and had our 40th anniversary last year. It's North America's membership organization that really brings together the public and private higher education, the private sector, public agencies, and community economic development stakeholders all together under the umbrella of economic development. UEDA's members work to expand economic opportunity and prosperity within our communities and regions by leveraging education and talent development, research and technology development, and community building and placemaking strategies. And our members include institutions of higher education, economic developers, and the for-profit sector, all who are working to improve the competitiveness of their regions. Now, through news and information, public policy, educational programming, and best practice sharing, UEDA as an organization works to expand economic opportunity in our communities by leveraging research, community and campus planning, talent development, and technology commercialization. The association is driving some exciting new initiatives, and I'd like to share just a few of those with you. About a year and a half ago, we released the Foundations for Strategy and Practice along with the Association for Public and Land-Grant Universities, and it really helps define the role of institutions of higher education in economic development. It provides a taxonomy of programs, and it's meant to inspire institutions to reinvent the relevant college or university for the 21st century. It really also pushes institutions to think comprehensively about how economic development and engagement activities connect to each other through that taxonomy, as well as to the institution's core mission activities. So that's really a core document and resource for those of you looking to participate in the Awards of Excellence program, primarily because our Awards of Excellence do align with the Foundations for Strategy and Practice document. So that can be a valuable resource, especially when trying to understand where categories fall into play and where your initiative falls into those categories. And we'll get into that a little bit more later. In conjunction with the effort from the Foundations document, we have also launched a Journal of Economic Development in Higher Education. The first edition is available online, and we are seeking new journal entries for that, new articles for that, the next edition of the journal. So if you have an idea for that, please feel free to submit those to our editor, and information on that is found in at our website as well. Oftentimes, a lot of Awards of Excellence programs that are great initiatives do also make good journal articles. So it's another avenue of exposure for your initiatives. And we're also investing in a CRM system, which is really providing a foundation for our membership. And we see that really having serve as a foundation for our organization moving forward, to make connections, to matchmake members and so forth in the future. So we're hoping that really drives engagement and also drives collaboration amongst our members. And then we also have a major effort to really grow and diversify our membership base for all institutions of higher education, as well as their stakeholders. So we're always seeking new members. More information about the organization can be found at universityeda.org. And then getting into the Awards of Excellence program, the purpose of today's webinar, we're pleased that you can join us, and I really want to use this as an opportunity to help you prepare and formulate your submission for a UEDA Award of Excellence. We're going to discuss the awards process, including eligibility, categories, judging criteria, the timeline, and then somewhat of the finalist presentations. If you are selected as a finalist, though, there will be a separate webinar for more detail about presentations that will occur at the summit. So really a bulk of this webinar is focusing on the application process rather than the actual presentation at the summit itself. And again, we'll get into that in a few slides here. Both awards finalists and winners definitely receive benefits from the Awards of Excellence program. Some participants in the program have received things like recognition from peers, validation, just feeling that the initiative is novel and impactful. Grants and funding, some folks have received recognition and validation that allow them sort of the credibility to submit future funding requests at various levels, both within their institution and beyond their institution, to get support for their initiatives. Increases even enrollment, spurring enrollment because students want to be a part of an engaged campus and institution. Sometimes it's attracted to additional partners, really lets others know that they can engage with the institution, and also provides additional reputation for the institution and the initiative itself. And it shows that the institution is meaningfully engaged in economic development activities. So that's really why we're here today, and why it's important to consider submission for the Awards of Excellence program. First and foremost are the key dates for 2017. So as I mentioned, the application deadline is June 30th for this year. We'll then have our committee, which exists of economic development, higher ed practitioners across North America. They will review the applications, and they will review the categories, and we will then have a finalist notification that will occur sometime in early August. We try to shoot for the first week of August, or even the 1st of August is really our target deadline. But sometimes we do need some flexibility there, as we are dealing with a volunteer structure. So we appreciate that flexibility, and we'll work to get those out as timely as possible, because ultimately plans need to be made to attend the annual summit. Sometime shortly after that, in September, we will have a finalist teleconference, and that will be a webinar similar to this, where we will go into a little bit more detail about presentations. The presentations are a very important part of the awards process. Those presentations will occur at the UEDA Annual Summit, which is in Long Beach, California. Not a bad place to go. That's going to be on October 1st through the 3rd. The presentations themselves will actually take place on the 2nd and the 3rd. That's Monday and Tuesday of that week. And then we conclude with an awards banquet where we announce the actual category leaders, and that's on October 3rd. That'll be the evening of October 3rd, also at the annual summit. So the annual summit is a great opportunity to network with other individuals, to gain additional ideas and insights, and the Awards of Excellence program has really become the cornerstone program at the annual summit, just because of the nature of the program itself, and how individuals are able to network and share ideas across institutions. So first and foremost, we'll talk about eligibility, about the specifics of the awards application. So to be eligible, your organization must first of all be a member of UEDA. If you're not currently a member, that's not a problem. You just must join before you submit your application, or alongside submitting your application. You can do that by visiting join.universityeda.org is the direct link to our membership page. And if your initiative or the project is affiliated with another UEDA member, the application must be submitted by the UEDA member. That's part of just part of our eligibility process. Your initiative or project should be at least 24 months old. And note that this is just a guideline. So if your initiative is not yet completed or it was started after July 1st, I believe that would be July 1st, 2014, it should be at a stage where significant progress and actual benefits can be measured or clearly anticipated. And this is what's going to make your application really more competitive. You can resubmit an initiative or project to the Awards of Excellence program if you've been, if you have submitted in the past, so long as it has not already won a UEDA Award of Excellence. If your project was a finalist, which means that you made it to presenting at the summit and you would like to resubmit, your application really needs to show new and significant results that it did not have once you presented as a finalist. So you can resubmit, definitely if you haven't been selected as a finalist in the past. If you have selected as a finalist, we just want to make sure that there's a new story to tell, and generally we like that to be demonstrating impact and more impact. You can submit and are encouraged to submit more than one project, and there really is no limit to the number of projects, just on the length of your application itself. So one institution can and has submitted more than one project, and we do encourage that, and hope that you'll consider doing that for this year as well. Now, UEDA's, I mentioned the foundations document, UEDA's framework for higher education, engagement, and economic development was jointly published in 2015, and that was alongside the Association of Public and Land-Grant Universities Commission on Competitiveness, Innovation, and Economic Prosperity, or more commonly known as APLU-CISEP. This groundbreaking document sets forth a common definition for university economic development and engagement. It also creates a set of principles to guide economic development and engagement in higher education at both a business and operations level and a strategic level. And it also establishes a taxonomy of programs that really assist practitioners, as well as higher education officials, in understanding and sometimes more importantly, communicating what constitutes the full spectrum of university-based economic development. You can see that the full text of this document, and again, we strongly encourage you all to be familiar with this document, as it will help guide you in the application process for the Awards of Excellence. And you can view that at foundations.universityeda.org. It really mirrors our Awards of Excellence program. So please feel free to familiarize yourself with this document if you aren't already, because that's what both the audience at the summit, as well as the peer review group of the Awards of Excellence Committee, will be using to evaluate or assist in evaluating your applications. As a result of the insights that was gained during this process, we did change the Awards of Excellence categories last year to reflect this new taxonomy. And we've also last year kind of revamped the judging criteria, which we're mimicking for this year, really to just align with the principles that are set forth in the strategic framework. So these changes are described further throughout this presentation, but I did want to highlight that there aren't major changes from where we were at last year in considering the Awards of Excellence program, and we're maintaining that we will have categories that align with this Foundations for Strategy and Practice document. So the UEDA Awards of Excellence has 6 categories. Those categories are on your screen. We have obviously talent, innovation, and place, and then we also have the intersections of each of those. So our awards categories will follow those areas of the Foundations for Strategy and Practice document. Now, I'll explain a little bit about each one, although they're also in our Awards of Excellence materials. So if you do need a refresher, you can feel free to review that information. So first we have talent. We'll start at the top. Talent includes the spectrum of knowledge transfer activities by which universities educate people, developing human capital for the 21st century knowledge economy. Now, this category includes lifelong learning, both degree and non-degree programs, experiential education, and discovery-based learning programs, active alignment of curricula to industry needs, et cetera, really focusing on that cradle to grave aspect of what universities provide. Now, if you go to the left of the Venn diagram, the red area, talent and innovation, that's defined as projects and initiatives that synergistically connect talent and innovation to create innovators of many kinds. So we're talking about business entrepreneurs, idea or product makers, and problem solvers. Entrepreneurship education projects and initiatives and experiential learning projects and initiatives to connect students with entrepreneurs are just two examples of some of the projects that we would consider within this hybrid category. Moving again to the left, innovation. Innovation begins with basic research, but really then it builds upon that knowledge to encompass knowledge transfer and application in ways that are useful and relevant to society. This category, like I said, focuses on basic research, applied translational, problem-oriented, and industrial contracted R&D, cooperative extension services, technology transfer, et cetera. So it goes beyond that innovation and really adds that, or beyond that research component that universities primarily, but all institutions of higher education focus on, and adds that creative element to it. Continuing on to the left or counterclockwise of the Venn diagram, we have the light blue space, which is innovation in place. Projects and initiatives that synergistically connect with innovation in place to create physical spaces that attract and build concentrations of talent and innovators, or what our industry calls knowledge communities. This can be construed as either or both: one, a specific site, such as a university research and tech park, incubator, accelerator, or something that really is a larger community focus for the community, the area, or the region, such as maybe an innovation district. Continuing on counterclockwise, we have place. Place is defined as the many and diverse ways in which institutions contribute to making not only attractive but also competitive communities. So these are places where people want to live. They want to create and take jobs. They want to raise their families, and they want to participate in civic life, age, and then hopefully retire. So competitive and successful communities and regions are attentive to the health, education, environment, housing, safety, and entertainment needs of the community members. And campuses and sites like research parks are components of placemaking, but the focus of this definition is broader, so really on communities or even on regions and developing a sense of place. And then lastly, the overlap between talent and place. So talent and place are projects and initiatives that synergistically connect talent and place in ways that enrich discourse, promote civic participation, and otherwise enhance quality of place. So just a few examples include K-12 school improvement partnerships, local government training institutes, and higher education involvement in regional government, economic development organizations, and community and wellness projects and initiatives. So, and even in the application process, whenever you're considering the various awards categories and where to place your award or your initiative for the various categories, we ask for one category and then another category. And the only categories that we're asking for, we ask for a primary and a secondary category. And that is because these are gray areas in some cases between, and we're trying to establish hard categories here, but the initiatives themselves are often gray. So we've asked for a primary category and a secondary category in the application. The primary category, we ask for talent or innovation or place. And the secondary category, we ask for talent or innovation or place. And what that does is it lets us know where you feel that your initiative ranks throughout the awards categories. And then the awards committee always will have the opportunity to assess those, we'll have the opportunity to assess where you've placed your initiative and may readjust depending on the applications that we see and how we can group those together in logical categories. And they will never move categories or move you to categories where the application would end up being weaker. It would only strengthen your application. So, and that's often, like I said, because these categories oftentimes when evaluating are a little bit gray, and we just want to make sure that your application is receiving its due diligence throughout the process itself. So again, only asking for two, a primary and a secondary, and you will only see talent or innovation or place in both of those. You won't see talent plus innovation or innovation plus place, et cetera. So just to clarify. And my slides will next talk about the judging criteria. So the judging criteria is pretty much self-explanatory and outlined in our guide. We're looking for elements that are in projects that are original and creative. We want this idea generation to really spark new ideas in other regions, which is why you see the number for replicability, scalability, and sustainability. We want these projects to be really the best of the best. These are leading edge initiatives, and that demonstrate significant impact, demonstrate excellence in leadership and collaboration with other partners, and really provide a strong foundation for community growth. And that's really what we're looking for, is community and regional growth with these projects. So that's why we've really weighted originality and creativity and impact so heavily. We want to make sure that these are unique ideas that are having tremendous impact within the regions in which they serve. We want to reward collaboration and strategic partnerships, but then we also recognize that not every region is the same. So we want to try to show that these are scalable and replicable in other areas of function throughout North America. So we're going to get into a few of these as far as the criterion go. So originality and creativity. So does the nominated project or initiative really make a new and original contribution to its category? Does it does the initiative introduce an innovative way of thinking and doing? Is it a new type of project or initiative that can be used to expand UEDA's new foundational taxonomy, or does it represent an important new innovation in the way a more established type of project initiative operates, such as expanding to include non-traditional participants, offering new modes of service delivery, alternating established incentive structures, or establishing new measurement and tracking systems? Another question we would ask is, how unique are the project's objectives, structure, approach, strategy, and results? What makes it different? And what makes it different not only from other initiatives, but other similar initiatives? So really what makes it stand out amongst its own kind. When we're speaking about impact, we're looking at, does the applicant have a clear, logical plan to achieve their intended impact and to track progress towards achieving the impact? And does the applicant provide quantitative metrics that demonstrate the project or initiative, has had a significant economic development, engagement impact, and achieved, at least partially, the intended results? So we do ask for some metrics. You can set what those metrics are. We just ask that you're measuring something. We want to see what those are and how that's changed over time. So the more you can demonstrate impact, the better, especially whenever, it's definitely important in the application process, but it's definitely going to be something that's pulled out and focused on as part of the actual presentation itself when we get to that point. And you'll see that in the finalist webinar, should you make it to that stage. When considering leadership, collaboration, and strategic partnerships, and this used to be an award category at one point, and when we realigned with the foundations document, we still recognize that this is an important aspect of the Awards of Excellence process. So, we ask questions like, does the applicant clearly describe how relevant stakeholders were identified, consulted, and engaged in the project initiative conception and implementation phase? Does the project demonstrate the institution's role as a leader and or a convener in developing and implementing a project that addresses a regional need? Did the project involve partnerships with regional economic developers, government, business, industry, nonprofit, or other institutions of higher education, and or other relevant collaborators? And were these partnerships clearly described in terms of the role of each partner? Did the partnerships increase the project's size, scope, and or impact? We want to show that those partnerships aren't just for the sake of partnerships, but actually have demonstrated value. So we'll be evaluating that. And I touched on this briefly, but whenever we're talking about replicability, scalability, and sustainability, we have folks that attend the summit from all across the country and all across North America, and we want to make sure that the projects that are being demonstrated and viewed are truly projects that can be replicated anywhere and scalable anywhere. So we're asking things in this category, in this criteria, like, can the insights, tools, and best practices from the project or initiative be duplicated by other institutions in other regions? Can it be easily scaled up or down and or modified to reflect different regional or institutional context? And lastly, does the initiative have a business model that can really sustain the initiative beyond its initial funding? I mentioned that one of the key side effects of the Awards of Excellence program has often led to additional funding support throughout the institution itself or external partners. What is that sustainable model? Is that part of the process, or just again a side effect of the Awards of Excellence program? We want to make sure that these programs are profitable, not for the sake of profit, but for the sake of sustainability. And then lastly, there's an overall criterion, and that's really just a subjective opportunity for the judges and the summer participants to score the projects based on their own individual opinions. Of course, at the summit, this criterion is based, at least in part, on the quality of the presentation of the finalist and the presenter's responsiveness to questions of the audience. At the application level, it's more of looking at this at each project and how it interacts probably more with others within its category, as well as how it fits within the realm of the category itself. But it's a strictly subjective criterion that lets the judges and the audience at the summit eventually provide their own feedback. So I've mentioned the annual summit that is going to be held at the Renaissance Long Beach, California, and that is October 1st through the 4th. So I'd encourage everyone who is on the webinar to please block that off. Our theme this year is Delivering the Future, Higher Education's Role in an Ever-Changing World, and we're really focusing on how higher ed can react and support the communities in which they serve to elements around us that are changing constantly, be that elements at a national scale, a local scale, environmental scale, all aspects. So we're really looking to have encouraging and engaging dialogue at the summit to talk about what our role is as a sector in supporting an ever-changing world. So with that, we're going to get into some questions. Again, I will put up the Awards of Excellence information on the screen. Again, you can download the application and all the information at awards.universityeda.org. That's also where this webinar will be posted. So if you do need to refer back for any reason, please feel free to do so. Again, if you have questions, you can place those in the questions box that's in the right-hand side of the GoToMeeting. And I know we have one here. The one question is, please elaborate on key elements of what makes a successful Awards of Excellence application, particularly in context of the theme for this year's annual summit. Well, the Awards of Excellence do not coincide necessarily with the theme. So the key elements of what makes a quality Awards of Excellence application are those criterion. So focusing on those are really where you'll have the greatest impact and chance to advance through the process to becoming a finalist and then eventually to a category winner. So you want to make sure that you're focusing on those areas of replicability, scalability, sustainability. The impact is important. You want to make sure that it's original and creative. Those are the key aspects of how you can demonstrate a successful Awards of Excellence application. The summit theme, let me go back to it real quick. The Delivering the Future, Higher Education's Role in an Ever-Changing World is not really considered whenever the Awards of Excellence Committee is dealing with the applications or reviewing the applications. It's not in context. Next question. Are there awards categories that have in the past had fewer submissions, areas where UEDA wants more participation? I would say yes. And really, we only have 1 year of reviewing since the awards were just reclassified last year into new categories. Last year, we did not have any solid elements or solid initiatives for talent of all things. Surprisingly enough, we were kind of shocked by that. So talent was one category that we did not award any or select any finalists last year, nor had any presentations. So that's one category where I think perhaps it's taken for granted for what universities do in regards to the talent development. So that is one area that we did not have any participants last year. So we would encourage not only your innovation and your place awards applications, but also definitely consider your talent, because we can use new ideas and talent as we look to create new ideas moving forward. Are these applications criteria or excellent awards criteria? So the criterion are used to determine are used by the judging committee to rate the applications. Each of the criteria that I went through has a weight associated with it. The judges will create a score, and those scores will then be weighted, and an overall application score will then be provided to the committee, and then we review all of those as a committee to see do we agree with the rankings, pros and cons, who should be a finalist. Sometimes there's 4 finalists that rise to the top easily. Other times it's more of a discussion of merit. That's where some impact comes into play, and you have that overall category as well. So it's important to really take those criterion into consideration when putting together and crafting your response, because that's where a bulk of the scoring comes from, are those criterion. Same goes whenever we have the presentations at the annual summit. The participants in the conference will be asked to judge using the same criterion. We are currently looking at the balloting process to see if that needs to be tweaked a little bit, but we are asking the participants to use that same criterion. So I would encourage really pay close attention to that criterion, because that's really where you're going to have the greatest impact on the process itself. Does the audience still vote for the winner? They absolutely do. Whenever it's based on the attendees at the summit. So the committee will select 3 or 4 finalists generally in each category. We've had 4 usually within the past few years in each category. Again, if there aren't strong applicants in a category, then they could shift some around to other categories and remove a category, like we did with the talent category last year. But the goal is to have 3 to 4 in each category, and then those 3 to 4 finalists will be asked to attend and present at the annual summit, and the participants at the summit will be given ballots, and those ballots will then be counted, and the leading vote getter, we ask them to rank them, so the one with the most number 1 ranks will be awarded as the category leader for that. Next question. Could you please provide some examples of an unsuccessful application? In other words, are there things that we should avoid in preparation of our application? I would say, in my experience, I've not seen common issues that I've seen in applications that have not been selected for finalists is impact. Perhaps a lack of impact or demonstrating that impact. Perhaps a lack of demonstration of collaboration. Something that is not scalable or not easily scalable. I think the individuals that can really tell their story, using the criterion to tell your story, is really who have the most success. So as long as you're able to use that criterion, that's, again, be explicit. Don't assume that folks can see how this is replicable. I think if you spell it out, not only in the application process, but also in the in the presentation process, I think that's where you'll have value. Why is this replicable? What makes this replicable? What makes it scalable? Why is this original? Call those pieces out in the application, and I think that will create a stronger application for you. And I think that I've even seen some initiatives that have self-selected as a result of that, and said, well, maybe we need to wait another year because we don't have the impact that we would like to have a strong presentation at the application level or the presentation level. So, I would say that, again, referring back to the criterion, that's really where you should focus and tell your story. Those that tell a good story and can mimic the criterion often do fairly well in the process. The next question is, can you provide us with past awards examples? And I absolutely can. Those are available at the website that's on the screen. So you can go to awards.universityeda.org. There are past finalists and past winners. We don't have their applications on there, but we do have abstracts that are on there, and they tell the story. And there's even the name and email address and phone number of the individuals who participated in those awards process. So if you even need to reach out to a past award finalist to talk maybe a little bit about a program that mimics something that they've done, that's by all means within the rules. So you can talk to them about their experience, as well as even talking to one of the members of the Awards of Excellence Committee. We want successful applications. We want to vet them and make sure that they're strong, and we have a strong presentations at the summit. But in the end, we want strong applications and initiatives to succeed. So we've even done a panel at the summit in the past that talks and helps strengthen applications. So it really is a great process to go through to help understand and think through using that criterion on a national scale. How does this initiative really relate to elements that are going on throughout North America? And I think we have one more question. Can you tell us, if I can, what the acceptance ratio from applications to finalists has been in the past? That's really hard to say. It really varies based on the number of applicants that are put into the process that apply. In some years we've had all but 4 accepted as part of the process, and in other years we've had to turn away a couple dozen. So it really depends on that applicant pool and how many people apply, and we find that varies year to year based on environment. Again, we're in an ever-changing world, so sometimes those things happen, and where people get busy or what have you. But I don't know that there is an acceptance ratio that we have. Again, our focus is to try to put together the best initiatives that we possibly can to present at the annual summit, so that our participants can not only judge them but also take away ideas. That's the cornerstone piece of what our program is as UEDA and the annual summit. So we want to make sure that we're really putting the best foot forward. I had one other thought, but I lost it briefly. Use the criterion. Again, if I could reiterate that, use that criterion to tell your story. Really, the categories oftentimes, help formulate the idea, but they shouldn't be the end all. Don't get stuck on the categories, because we're looking for a strong presentation in the end, a strong initiative at the end. So that's really what our focus is. So with that, don't see any other questions. If you do have other questions, again, my information's on the website. My name again was Tim Hines. I'm the executive director of UEDA. Ed Morrison, who was unable to be with us today from Purdue University Agile Strategy Lab. I think we had some time mix up here and on my part. So Ed wasn't able to join us today, but please feel free to reach out to us. And if there is a question that I cannot answer, I'll definitely have Ed and his committee ensure that they're coming together and figuring out an answer for you. So with that, again, this will be recorded and has been recorded. I will place it online at the URL that's on the screen, and look forward to reading your applications again by June 30th, 2017. Thank you very much for joining us.